Welcome to Naked and Afraid. I'm Bobby Lawrence, and this is Ronald May. Again, kind of the title of the show.
Yes.
We're really, before God, we're stripped naked of our self-righteousness. Yes. We're bears naked before Him. And are we afraid? Or are we just like,
Yes.
me and Him have a great understanding. I made my peace with the man upstairs, or the old man upstairs. There's no awe of God. Mark chapter 1 verse 35. Verily early in the morning, while it was still dark, he got up, went out, and made his way to a deserted place, and there he was praying. Simon and his companion searched for him, and when they found him, they said, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let's go on to the neighboring village, so that I may preach there too. This is why I have come." This is the second time that he went early in the morning and prayed. In Mark, the first chapter, twice it specifically said he got up while it was still dark to pray.
Yes.
So could there be something special about that time of the morning?
If you're not a morning person, you're going to say no. If you're a morning person, you're going to say yes. And in their days, evening and morning was a full day. Evening and morning. They didn't have the lights like we have. They didn't have the third shift workers. They didn't have the second shift workers. No.
So are you saying it's morning somewhere?
No, what I'm saying is society has changed so much that it could actually be taking us away from biblical teaching on starting your day with the Lord.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think, I think you're right, I don't necessarily think it's about the hour. It's just how your day starts. And I think that's what Jesus was doing, right? He didn't pick up his cell phone. He didn't pick up his computer and check out his social media. And he wasn't concerned about the news or who texted him overnight. He went and communicated with his Father, got his orders, and I think that's what he went to do, was to carry out those orders.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Well, I don't think you are, because it says there, "Let us go into the next town, that I may preach there also, for therefore came I," is what the King James says. He was worried or dedicated about doing the Father's business.
With his dedication the way it was, you could see how dedicated it was. I mean, we're just in the first chapter still. But you see, already twice it's mentioned, before the sun come up. That costs you something. Get up before the sun comes up. You know what I'm saying? And you go out there and pray. I have a feeling this was something he did way beforehand, way before it got to this. That was probably a habit, and something he did. That was his dedication, and I also think about. Paul telling Timothy, first of all, with all prayer and supplication. Why don't you say second of all, or third, or maybe later down the road? He said, first of all, with all prayer and supplication in Timothy. And I sit here, Jesus is giving us an example by how he's living. So how important is prayer to us?
Yes.
Should it be important? It was important to Jesus, and he was God. So if it was important to him to talk to himself, how much more important it is, I should have probably said it like that, but how important it is to us to pray. And
with what you said, that Paul said, that word, pray there, means to pray to God, that is supplicate and worship. Supplicate and worship. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go to God first, and we live in a time that we don't go to God first. We may go to the hospital first. We may go to the medicine cabinet first. We may go to the phone
Yeah.
and call mom and dad first
Right.
for advice.
Well, if you go back to that authority, Jesus spending time with the Father, and that occupying his time. When I played football, you practice the fundamentals. You don't practice playing.
No.
I mean, you do push-ups till you can't do push-ups. You run till you're sick of running. And it's all those little things like that coaches will spend the most time driving it into you, the fundamentals, not holding it, if you're on offense, and certain ways to tackle if you're on the defense. And you do it over and over and over until it becomes instinctive. You don't have to think about it. You just naturally do it. And I think this is how we have to condition ourselves till we naturally, when something bad happens, we naturally ought to realize, oh, I better pray. You know what I'm saying? Our cameraman, if you say, man, pray for this, he goes ahead right that second and he starts praying for it, for whatever the issue is. And it's an instinct to him. And but all this, even reading the Bible and everything else, all of it ought to be instinctive. And boy, we mess up. We blow it because this is all we got. This is not a rule book. It's a roadmap.
Yes.
And and something else I learned from my great granddad. He used to tell me, Bobby, you do the right thing over time. He'd tell me, skip that. My great granddad used to tell me this, Bobby, you do your part. God will always do his part. And buddy, that just stayed with me all my life. Bobby, you do your part, God will do his part. You ain't got to pray about that really. If you do your part, if it's doing right, doing good, and those kind of stuff, and it also says he'll give you the desires of your heart, and I know we can get carried away with that. But I grew up poor. And
you still are.
And in fact, we were so poor we didn't have dogs. Me and my sister
You didn't hear that.
Yeah. I said, we were so poor, me and my sister took turns, because we didn't afford a dog. Me and my sister took turns running outside barking at people. Because that's a joke. Anyway, so we got to go on this fishing trip. It was a camp for young people for a week, and we'd never been to anything like that. So we go to this camp, and man, I'm freaked out. I mean, it's different than anything. These kids are rich, you know what I'm saying? And they said, hey, we're going to go fishing tomorrow and everything. So we get there, and all these people have got all these fancy fishing poles. I didn't have nothing. And so I looked around, found me a piece of string, and I borrowed a weight and a hook, and I snorted a worm. You know what snoring a worm is?
Mm-hmm.
It's where you Yankee. You drive a stick into the ground. If you take another stick and rub across it, it'll make a snoring noise, and the worms will come up. So I put me a worm on the hook, and I went to the bank and I just threw it in. And I'm watching it float down to the bottom, and most people say, you ain't gonna catch nothing. And I remember saying this, God, now I've done my part. And immediately a bass hit that line, and I caught the biggest fish, the first fish and the biggest fish of the day. It was a big old bass. Like to pull my finger off. But that happening to me has always stuck in my mind. I don't necessarily have to go pray about it so much. If it's doing good, I go do it. Jesus, when he went about, he prayed early in the morning. I'm sure he didn't have to think about everything. I think as he went along the day, well, have it in me to do good. This person's sick. This person needs something to eat. And if he had it, he gave it to him. He gave what he had, and I learned a lot from that. And I still think, God, there's so much more I could do if I have paid attention. Because if we do our part, God always does his part. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's walking by faith.
Yes.
That don't mean you're going to have money. That don't mean you're going to be healed. That don't mean you're going to have security. That means, you know what? Exactly. We're put on this earth to be disciples and followers of Christ, and really that's it.